thanks so much to everyone who has kept their wins coming through on email and in the Facebook group. Let everyone know in the chat what surprised you the most about the Goosebumps text that you sent, or the phone a friend exercise, as we sometimes like to call it. Let me know because it's really interesting. We had people sending through pieces of feedback in a bunch of different languages. There was a couple of descriptive words that I'd never even heard of, so I actually had to brush up on my on my dictionary skills. Some of the compliments were so impressive. So I don't know. I can see a couple of people: Olivia, Carla, Deborah, Emily. I don't know if there was anything that you heard in your responses that you were kind of quietly pleased about. But let me know in the chat. I would love to hear from you. And yeah, this is really interesting. Moretta's saying in the chat that the different people that they messaged actually came up with different pieces of feedback. And I had an email today from someone who was telling me that someone noticed that they were a super autonomous worker, and that was actually something they had been working really hard at. So they were pleased to get that feedback because they now know that they can use that as part of their performance review because their colleagues are certainly noticing. So to anyone who is new to the challenge, welcome. My name is Meggie Palmer, and I'm the founder of a company called PepTalkHer. And we're on a mission to close the gender pay gap and frankly, help you supercharge the success of your career. So one of the things that we do every year, impact is our core value in the business. And so twice a year, we run this free live coaching challenge because it's important to me that we help support people who, need help, frankly, realizing and knowing and being able to quantify their worth. Because as I talked about yesterday, people pay the price that you put on yourself, right? And so the purpose for me this week is for you all to come to realize the price that you should and can be putting on yourself, and how we can actually strategically help you to have that conversation, right? So that you can eventually close the deal, get the raise and or promotion that you're looking for. Okay, so let's jump into today's challenge. Let me know in the chat with a yes if you have already completed the challenge. Some of you might need a little bit more time, which is totally fine. We are going to be holding you accountable in the Facebook group. And don't forget that there's a heap of prizes that we give away at the end of the challenge as well. So if you email through your results, post in the Facebook group and on social media, my team are diligently counting up all the points. And then I think it was LA. I don't know if LA Marks is on the call today, but she actually did a shout out on social media using the question box to get even more responses for yesterday's challenge. So we gave her a bonus point. So if you've got any funny ideas like that, feel free to let me know and we will give you some bonus points too. So super interesting that people noticing themes yesterday about how resilient they are, how easy it is to forget your strengths. Yeah, and that's the whole purpose. You've just summed it up better than I could. Katanya, thank you for that. That's the whole purpose of this week, right? There's a lot going on. And as today's email said, hands up if you can tell me what you had for dinner last Tuesday. I can barely remember that I had salmon for dinner last night, right? But if it goes back much longer than that, I'm kind of out. And that's fine because my brain doesn't really need to remember that. It's not super important. But there are things that you do at work every week that are super important, right? The time when you get a piece of feedback from a member of the executive, the time when you host a board member event and they're kind of delighted, or the time when you make your boss look good, or you improve the SEO on the website, or whatever the case may be, you win an award, right? All of those things are really crucial for you to remember, especially at pay review time, right? Because if you just walk into a pay conversation and be like, hey, what's up? Please, can I have a raise? That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that, but it's not hugely impressive and it's not hugely persuasive. If you can walk in with a list of your achievements from the PepTalkHer app or, in a notebook, it really doesn't matter where you record it. We built the app for free to help support you and to kind of send you those nudge notifications. But wherever you keep track of stuff, the more you can quantify that and take that data into your meeting, you can print it out. The app will let you export it and you can physically print it and take it into the Zoom room or the meeting room, depending on where you are. it's going to give you more confidence, frankly, to be like, oh yeah, there's kind of like 10 things here or 30 things here. That's right. And it's also going to send a message to the person you're negotiating with that, whoa, this person's kind of serious. They've actually done research, because guess what? Not many people do it. Most people don't prepare at all. And most people do not come up with a list of achievements, a list of data points, a list of dollar signs that kind of attribute your value and success to the team and the business. You know what I mean? Now, this doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you work in admin. It doesn't matter if you work in engineering or sales or finance. And I know that we've got a broad church here. And it doesn't matter, right? Because everyone has a contribution to play. And if you're kind of doubting that, and if you're doubting yourself about that, I want you to know that, like, if you haven't been fired, you're obviously pretty good at your job. Like, fingers crossed, none of you get fired today. But and some of you I know are looking for work too, and that's fine. But if you are in a job right now and you haven't been fired, I'm going to guess 99% likely you're doing a pretty good job. Yeah, so you just need to be able to quantify that. And we talk more in specifics, frankly, about this in the Career Level Up course. Exactly, like, how can you go about quantifying that? How can you get further support from your colleagues and even your friends, frankly, to help you identify those quantifiable moments? So there are techniques that you can put in place to dive deeper, but at the surface level, I just want you all to start to think about that, right? And that is your challenge for today, right? Is to download the PepTalkHer app and reflect on one thing. That's it. We want this to be less than 5 minutes. You're all busy people. One thing. What's one really awesome thing that you've done this year that you reckon's pretty rad, or that you've done in the last 6 months? We're new into the year, so maybe some of us are still kind of slow to start, right? And the reason that this is really important, again, it comes back to the nudge theory, right? So if we can train our brain slowly but surely to start to focus on those successes and focus on them in a big way, like write them down, put a dollars and cents sign next to it, a percentage next to it, screenshot an email that you receive from a client or an exec or a colleague, a Slack message saying, hey, Meggie, thanks so much. That really shifted the course of that event. Or, Pam, we couldn't have achieved that client sale without you. Thank you. That intel was really helpful. Or, Olivia, that introduction was game changing. Like, how good. You don't want to forget that at performance review time. So that's all I want you to do, is think about one thing. If you have something in mind, by all means, go ahead and share it in the chat, because it's really, really useful for other people to hear. And that's really what I want from this community this week, is for you all to be able to connect with each other. We're going to start a LinkedIn thread and a Facebook group so that everyone can kind of connect as well. But do share your wins, because there might be another teacher in the room who that really helped, or there might be another engineer who's like, oh my gosh, I hadn't thought about counting my projects like that. So, for example, one thing that we're celebrating as a team this week is we signed on a really big corporate client this week. So that's one thing that I've tracked in my app this week, closing that really big sales deal. We're obviously got the challenge going on. So I'm hoping that Kim and Declan on my team are writing that down in their app this week, right? Because there's a lot of moving pieces and all that kind of stuff. So, and again, it comes back to the nudge theory, right? And some of you might have heard of this theory from behavioral economics. Little bit by little bit by little bit by little bit. It's not going to fix your sense of self-worth overnight. It's not. I wish it would, but it's not. But if you can do this once a week or once a month, it's better than nothing. And that's going to make an impact. Because even if you just recorded one thing in the app every month, at your annual review, you've got 12 things. That's pretty cool. And you might get to the end of the year and be like, oh, no, that actually wasn't that good. Or, oh, yeah, or, oh, I forgot I have to add, but you're still going to have 8 to 10 things at a minimum. If you did it every week, you'd have 50 something things, right? So that's very, very valuable. And also you can repurpose this stuff. You can use it on your LinkedIn to update that. You can use it, your performance reviews when you have to fill out those annoying forms. You can repurpose this to use it for that as well. Right? So there's a bunch of different things that you can do with the data that you get from tracking your successes. So let me know in the chat if you have any specific questions that you want me to answer, because I want to get to as many of those. Oh, we've got heaps of people who've already been tracking their wins. Let me know if you want to share. No worries, Carla. We can send me a DM and we can get that fixed for you. Oh, this is cool. I'd like to give high fives to Pam, who's promoted 3 female team members to director level this year. I love that. And, I love hearing this, to Pam, because I think that there's a lot all of us can do to be allies for other people in the workplace, right? And this process of tracking our own successes might be something that we want to pay forward to someone else. We may have a mentee, you may have a colleague, and you might just notice they're not feeling themselves lately. So maybe you want to kind of forward today's email to them to help support them. Because again, we're trying to trigger our brains to get into a new headspace, right? And to focus on something different rather than spiraling. Olivia ran a successful reading challenge over the winter break. Yeah, like that's something really valuable. You know what I mean? That's really, really helpful. Deployed a new platform in our CRM. Wow, I wish you could come and do that for us, Liana. That's awesome. You just joined in, no problem. So today's challenge is all about thinking about one success you've had this year at work that you're really proud of and tracking that in the PepTalkHer app, which is free to download. Okay, cool. So someone else has started a major company and was given a massive high priority job. Wow. That is really, really cool. Love that. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Congratulations to you, Sheridan. I love to hear this. So we're going to let me pop the link to the Facebook group in the chat now. So if you're not already in there, you can jump on in, because we are going to be starting that LinkedIn thread today, because one of the things that we talk about throughout the challenge and in the career level up as well is the power of developing a network matrix, right? Of people who support you, of people who are ahead of you in your career, who are beside you, who are maybe not quite as experienced as you. Making sure you've got a really strong network is really, really powerful. And we'll talk about that a little bit later in the challenge. But I'm really excited for you. Tomorrow's challenge, by the way, heads up, you're going to kind of hate me. You're going to love me, but you're going to hate me. It's a bit of a challenge, and it requires courageous action. So you'll understand when you get that email in a couple of hours from now. But I just wanted to give you all a heads up about that one. We're moving on to negotiation for day 3, halfway through the challenge tomorrow. So if you've got questions, let me know in the chat. I would love to get to as many of those for y'all as we can. But yeah, I think it is really helpful to appreciate that the text that you all sent yesterday to give you that goosebump, warm and fuzzy feeling is something that, you've got that at your disposal. If you're finding today's challenge hard, and if you're like, Meggie, I don't even, what would I even track? What have I even done this year that's good? If you're struggling with that, phone a friend. Again, message the person back and be like, I'm still doing this challenge. Hey, quick one. What do you reckon is the best achievement I've had in the last 12 months? Or this is the question for today. We have to think about one success that we've had. Any ideas that we could brainstorm that you think that I should write down? Because sometimes we don't see it. Because you might think it's really, really easy to reconcile the accounts of your business because you work in finance. As a non-finance person, I basically think that you are a genius, and I don't even know how you do that. So sometimes you need external people to give you feedback about, actually, this is part of your zone of genius. This is super impressive. This adds a lot of value. So if you're struggling with today's challenge, don't worry, you're not alone. And you should definitely reach out to the Brains Trust, right? So you should phone a friend again and ask them to help support you to identify something that has been a big success for you professionally this year. So don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't be afraid to ask questions in the Facebook group, because there may be people in your industry or in your, job title who can help support you as well. So you can get the app on the app stores. It's on Apple and Android. It's totally free. And the other thing about the app, and this is why Bri, our psychologist, helped support us with the tech and the science behind it, it sends you a notification. So we'll send you a really fun quote once a week, which is kind of motivational, but we're also going to remind you to track your successes once a week. So that's kind of the purpose of the app, is that we just want this to become second nature. I want this to become automatic for you, because you've all got so much going on. You've got families, friends, kids, Netflix shows to watch, jobs to do, cookies to bake if you're like me and you're a chocoholic. You've got stuff to do. So you don't have to remember this. The app is going to remember it for you and prompt you to do that. I know you're going to ignore the prompts sometimes, and that's okay. But when you do remember, and when you do want to acknowledge the prompts, you can just enter those successes and you'll have it all in the one place. So It's a great question here. So yeah, sometimes you think, oh, but I've just done my job this week. Like I just balanced the book. So I just like put out 3 marketing campaigns, or I worked with 3 influencers. Like that's not exciting. Still write it down, right? Just start to write it down, because even if it is business as usual, that's okay. Because maybe you went above and beyond. Maybe you worked with an influencer that your company's been wanting to work with for 2 years. Maybe it will turn out that that campaign is the most successful throughout the year. So just start somewhere. Just start tracking something. Maybe you're an executive assistant and you got your boss's inbox to inbox zero. Write it down. It all counts. And you can decide at the end of the year if you want to share this with your boss, right? If you want to make this part of the conversation. But we're just starting somewhere, and we're just getting into the habit of reflecting and acknowledging the successes that you've had this week, this year as well. Awesome. Oh my gosh, you're all kicking goals. Everyone's achieving the challenge. That's good. So yeah, it shouldn't take you long. I guess an app takes 30 seconds to download. I don't know. And then maybe, give it 5 or 10 minutes of rumination about what you want to track. If you've got any questions, let us know in the Facebook group. We have concierges from our team who are there to support you too. So you can always DM any of us and ask us questions as well. We have a workbook. If you haven't got that yet, just send us a DM and we will get that over to you ASAP. If you're not on Facebook, that is totally fine. Just send me your email in the chat here, either privately or in the general thread, and we will get that over to you today. So I am happy to stick around if anyone has questions. Equally, I want to be respectful of your time. Keep up the awesome work. Tomorrow we are halfway through the challenge. Time flies when you're having fun. You're going to kind of hate me, but kind of like me for tomorrow's challenge. So take a look and let me know tomorrow how you feel about it. Yes, you will have access to this call. I am going to circulate it to you, the YouTube link, to you all in the Facebook group. And at the bottom of every email, it says if you missed, you can catch up here. There's a link. Actually, I can pop the link in the chat for you now as well. So this has been fun as always. Yeah, Kim can pop the catch up link in the chat for us. We will send this recording through to you if you missed it. Never fear. If you haven't received your workbook, let me know in the chat. And we will be back the same time tomorrow to talk you through day 3 of the challenge. But congratulations for getting through the first 2 days. I'm very impressed. I've been loving all these successes coming through. So yeah, if you don't have the workbook, no worries, Tracy, let me know your email. I'll get that over to you ASAP. We will send that to you in the next half hour. Awesome. All right. Thanks, everyone. Congratulations. Congrats for focusing on your career and putting yourself forward and putting yourself first in your career. That's what we want to help you and support you to do. So we will see you the same time tomorrow. Any questions, just reach out. Thanks so much, everyone. Bye.